So if you couldn't tell who I'm already fucking gonna be voting for of who's gonna win or putting my fucking money on, it's Johnny Bones Jones all fucking day, baby! Woo! What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Kevin Hoops Show. I am the host here, Kevin Hoops, and we are getting right into this freaking news. Jon Jones, Ciryl Gane. It is boom bop confirmed, ladies and gents. I cannot wait until this fight happens. I've been predicting what fight is going to happen on this March 4th card. I was leaning towards the Usman versus Leon Edwards. I thought that one was going to be confirmed for London on March 4th, and it wasn't. But we get Ciryl Gane versus Jon Jones, and I'm not complaining a bit. So for those of you that don't know, Dana White was recently on the post-fight press conference with Sean Strickland's fight, and it was released actually on Twitter, or the T-Mobile Arena had put up the posters for March 4th, and it was going all over Twitter. So that was basically the first thing that Dana White addressed in the press conference.
So I guess I'll jump right into that. Yes, T-Mobile blew the fight. That wasn't supposed to go up, but it did. This is for the official heavyweight title.
Honestly, I think a lot of people are not complaining about this. For those of you that also don't know, Francis Ngannou has now officially vacated the title and probably will not be signing with the UFC at all. Dana White actually has confirmed that the UFC has offered him to be the highest paid athlete in the heavyweight division throughout the whole entire UFC so far. He would have been the highest if he took this deal. And who knows, he could have maybe gotten a deal after that to get even more money. Apparently, Dana was saying that one of the main reasons was because he didn't want to fight Jon Jones. Dana White seemed to go along this line of Francis wants to fight lesser skilled opponents as the champ. In Dana White's opinion, in the UFC, he was going to be facing higher level skilled opponents and still fighting for the belt, being at the top. I think that that's a perfectly viable option. If you can get paid the same amount of money to go fight lesser skilled people, you're not risking yourself to injury as much. As well as if you can get the payday quicker, why not get the payday quicker? Knock the dude out faster. Another thing that I want to talk about with this Francis deal being canceled and not falling through, or falling through and not pulling through, I think a big thing to think about is how long this whole entire deal has been taking. Apparently, this whole entire deal has been taking 2 years. Now, whether that's been while Francis has fought 1 or 2 times within that, I still do think that's a very long time, basically almost since COVID has started. And we haven't seen Francis Ngannou in about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I don't remember the exact date on when he last fought, but I remember it's been at least a year since we've seen the guy now. Speaking of Francis Ngannou, one of his last fights was against Ciryl Gane. I think a big takeaway from that fight is that it did go to a decision. Neither of those fighters got knocked out. And I don't think that we really saw the full potential of Ciryl Gane in that fight. He might have been able to honestly put Francis in some more danger, but I think both of those fighters had a mentality of more or less just kind of standing there with each other. Now, that's not to say that Francis Ngannou isn't better than Ciryl Gane. He definitely can be, but I do think Ciryl Gane usually has the approach of being more technical and not putting yourself as much of risk. That is a thing that you're definitely going to need going up against Jon Jones, who's one of the best in the UFC, if not the best. You know, a lot of people look at him and say that he is the fucking GOAT. Just to, toot my own horn a little bit, or give you guys a little bit of background of me watching Jon Jones and just a little story of Jon Jones that I have. 2018, my first UFC pay-per-view that I buy is Conor McGregor versus Khabib. I think that was in November, might have been in October. But then the next fight right after that is Jon Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson 2, baby. And I fucking watched that fight all rooting for Jon Jones, baby. I was all for it. Johnny Bone Jones. That's what I'm talking about. I am a part of that train saying Jon Jones, I don't care what he does outside of the UFC, inside the ring, That motherfucker is the best to ever enter the octagon. Going back to Francis Ngannou, and I don't want to keep on bringing him up because I'm starting to kind of not like the guy, honestly. One of the reasons being is that this fight with Jon Jones and Francis could have happened sometime in 2022. Dana White literally said when they were making the fights for December, November, and October of 2022, it was in the talks that Jon Jones was going to fight in one of those months. Obviously, that didn't happen. And obviously, it seems like to me, it was held up by Francis Ngannou because he was just roping the UFC along saying, give me more money. And when he didn't get the money and saw that he was going to have to fight Jon Jones, well, he just fucking dipped. So honestly, not the biggest Francis Ngannou fan over here now. And that's coming from someone who is loving Francis. I loved Francis Ngannou's story of coming from a really hard, rough beginning in anyone's life. I think that, working in Cancun or Cameroon and digging sand for however long a day he was doing it in the desert is something that is excruciating and nobody should ever have to go through. I think coming from that and getting to the UFC and obtaining the UFC title, isn't that everything that guy's ever wanted? If you're doing that in the UFC, why would you think that you can go and do that somewhere else? I think if the UFC has been giving you opportunity to do things that you would have never thought you've been able to do in life, why the fuck wouldn't you stay there? Honestly, it's more or less, I just don't understand and don't agree with necessarily leaving the UFC in the way that he did. Speaking of Ciryl Gane, though, let's talk about Ciryl Gane a little bit. He was talking about in the press conference that he actually got over the loss against Francis within like 3 fucking days. I know a lot of UFC fighters and fighters in general take losses very hard. Sometimes it can take them a good amount of time to get over an actual loss just because that's their one time to shine. And if they do not shine, it can really change the trajectory of their career or their next couple fights. So I think that that's something that's really impressive that Ciryl Gane can do, especially if it was within 3 days, he said. So hats off to the guy if that's really how he did it. And if he's got that sort of mindset, I think that that's something that you're definitely going to need and is a plus to have going up against someone like Jon Jones because he's already looked at as the GOAT. Ciryl Gane has already been like, yeah, I am very excited to and glad that I'm facing someone of this caliber. He's like very respectful about it. And I like that. I think that shows that he has respect for Jon Jones, number one. And then he's taking this fight very seriously. Now, I don't know exactly when this fight got confirmed, but I know it got leaked this past weekend. So if it got signed, let's say sometime during last week, that would have been January 7th through the 14th, basically. That would give Ciryl Gane just about 2 months to really prepare for this fight and probably more or less like a 5 to 6 week training camp instead of a 12-week training camp that someone can have, for 3 months instead of 1.5 to 2. That's a thing that I think is important to think about as well. Will Ciryl Gane get as good of a training camp as he did for Francis, as he has for other fights? I'm not too sure, but I do think that this is an opportunity, and when opportunities are given to people like this, that's just the time to put the fucking pedal to the metal and start to fucking work harder than you've ever worked before. Because this is another title shot for Ciryl Gane. He's already had one, and a lot of people don't see a second title shot in their UFC careers. We've only seen Ciryl Gane fight 2 or 3 guys maybe since he lost to Francis, maybe 1 or 2. And he's now already fighting for the title again. So that's definitely something that is on his side, an opportunity that isn't given to everybody. So is he going to use that and capitalize on it? Or is he going to just kind of treat it like the Francis fight, which I think he could have thrown more shots, in my opinion, in that Francis fight. The whole thing is, will we see a more aggressive Ciryl Gane or someone trying to actually win the fight type of Ciryl Gane come March 4th? Now, for some of you that might not be keeping up with Jon Jones recently, or some of you that may have just been forgetting of when Jon Jones fought last or what he's been doing lately, the motherfucker is absolutely huge right now. He's been putting on weight the past 2 years, and I've been seeing a whole bunch of Instagram and Twitter posts throughout the past 2 years, and now it is confirmed Jon Jones is looking Almost like fucking Francis Ngannou. Like, really? He doesn't even look that freaking much more scary than Francis Ngannou did. If they were to do a face-off, I'd say, wow, they don't look like they're gonna be scared of each other. So, honestly, Jon Jones is looking like a behemoth right now, and he put it on pretty naturally, so he should be able to be using the same type of light heavyweight cardio that he has fighting at light heavyweight as a heavyweight, which is going to be fucking insane. Now, his last fight was against Dominic Reyes in 2020, so he has had a 2 years off, kind of break period, might have some ring rust coming back in here. But if you guys remember when he fought Alexander Gustafsson the second time, which is also, like I said, the first time I watched him, he didn't look like he had any ring rust at all. He came in and wiped the mat with Alexander Gustafsson. And honestly, I don't think he's going to have that much ring rust. He's probably been training a lot, especially leading up to this, knowing that he's going to be fighting again. I'm all about it. Let's go, Jon Jones. Get in the fucking ring. Another thing, just to fucking toot Jon Jones's horn a little bit, the motherfucker is going to make a 16th title shot or fight for a belt for the 16th time coming up on this fight. Since 2011, he has had 15 title fights. He has fought for the title 15 times since 2011. Just that fucking stat alone is insane, ladies and gentlemen. Especially when you add in each of those title shots. He's fucking won. He's won the belt 15 times. He's had 15 title fights and won 15 of them. And this is about to be the 16th. So if you couldn't tell who I'm already fucking gonna be voting for, of who's gonna win or putting my fucking money on, it's Johnny Bones Jones all fucking day, baby. Woo! All right, ladies and gents, that's going to be it for this one. That's all I've got about Jon Jones and Ciryl Gane leading up to this. I got this whole entire recording on short notice when this news happened, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like. If you're new to the fucking channel, hit that fucking subscribe button too while you're at it. All right. And don't forget as well, let me know in the comments what you guys are going to be thinking about Ciryl Gane versus Jon Jones and any other fights. I know Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards is confirmed for London. So we're going to be doing and talking about that tomorrow, actually, on the Monday's Kevin Hoop Show podcast. So tune in for that. And with that, have a great rest of your fucking weekend, ladies and gentlemen.